My daughters would strongly prefer it if I'd stopped going into war zones, just to be quite frank. They
Yeah, that's fair.
I really love that. That's something that they've expressed a few different times, but they're also incredibly proud of what I do and what I'm doing.
Welcome to Extraordinary Stories. I'm your host, Forbes Shannon, with me,
Christine Butler.
and we have a phenomenal guest today, a policy advisor, senior policy advisor for the last 25 years. And really the extraordinary threads that we're going to get into is how he's both working locally and internationally.
Exactly.
And also some of the stories he's had in this incredible career, all the way from Gilbert, Arizona. Rick Stilgenbauer. Rick, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both so much for having me. This is a tremendous opportunity. I appreciate the work that you all do.
Yeah, thanks. What we're doing at the Extraordinary Collaborative is a lot like what you do, making sure that we can connect people across the world so that they can collaborate and build something extraordinary with extraordinary people.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, Aaron Baer nominated you for the Extraordinary Stories. How do you know Aaron?
Well, Aaron and I have worked together for many years. Aaron is a brilliant mind and someone that Arizona is lucky to have someone like Aaron and of his caliber in the state of Arizona. So Aaron and I have worked on projects together. We have been involved in politics together. I see Aaron at different events all the time, and it never surprises me because he is a driven, hardworking, brilliant man, and I'm honored to have received his nomination.
Oh, well, that's a glowing recommendation, Rick.
That's
Thanks.
amazing.
We feel the same way about Aaron. Arizona is lucky to have him. And honestly, our collaborative, the ability to connect these different people and weave the web, that's the big, really
Right.
exciting part about
And
Extraordinary.
boy,
to
we
me.
are seeing the web.
The
weave.
web is weaving for sure. We had some fun John McCain stories come
Yes.
out from Mayor Doug Nichols on his episode. Rick, you were John McCain's chief of staff. What was it like working for such an extraordinary leader like
Sure.
Senator McCain, working alongside him?
It was a tremendous honor. I saw my official title was a state chief of staff. So that means I was in charge of his Arizona offices, some of his campaign work, how we worked at the federal level. And it was the honor of my lifetime. It was, I've been involved in politics for 25 years. And if you would have told me when I first started out that I was going to be working hand in hand with someone of his stature, I would have said, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. It was high stress. It was wonderful. It was a tremendous honor. And we didn't always see eye to eye politically, but he was a good person, a very good person, good man, good leader. And I miss him. I miss him as a friend, and I miss his leadership. And it was tremendous experience, one that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I try my best in my current role, Forbes, to continue the spirit of what I was doing with Senator McCain. When I was working for him, I was helping in my role for him. I was helping Arizona receive proper representation in DC. So small issues maybe impacting Lake Havasu or Bullhead City or Yuma or Tucson or Nogales. I and my team were going down, putting a face on the issue, learning about it, engaging directly with the senator and his team and finding solutions. And it made me fall in love with the state even more. It made me appreciate the work of mayors, city council members, county supervisors. It was an honor to represent Senator McCain and then work for the state. And when he got too sick to return to office, I left to join Squire Patton Boggs, an international law firm that I'm currently at. And the firm has been fantastic to me. They have allowed me to pursue several of the things that Senator McCain was passionate about: natural resource issues, international development issues, veteran issues, higher education issues. So they've given me a very broad sort of scope, and I've enjoyed it very much. So very long answer, Forbes, but that's.
No, I can totally appreciate everything that you're talking about, and it's so cool to see how you can be so connected in so many different areas, right? In a role and then in a capacity, expanding beyond that. So, you're not just here in Arizona, even though you're doing a lot here in Arizona. You're doing a lot to connect Arizona to the rest of the world. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I serve on the Arizona Defense and Industry Coalition, which is a organization that assists defense contractors in Arizona to do things outside of the state, whether that's supply chain issues, whether that's research and development, whether that's foreign military sales or opportunities like that. I also serve on the Yuma 50 board of directors and the Southern Arizona Defense Alliance. So I do a little bit of work in defense communities throughout the state, which I love. It's my passion. I love what the Yuma 50 does. It is a tremendous organization. They support men and women of the two military installations in Yuma, and we serve as the voice of those installations. They're not allowed to lobby Congress. They're not allowed to talk about their issues, but they can talk to community leaders, and those community leaders can convey those thoughts and issues and problems directly to members of Congress. And I love doing that so much, and to be able to help the Yuma community is tremendous. But a lot of what I've been doing is finding opportunities at the international level for the state of Arizona. So right now, I'm working in Ukraine with President Zelensky and his team. Been into the country now 8 times to meet with the teams, meet with the Ukrainians while they've been at war, to try to find issues that they have and then find potential solutions in Arizona to bring those things to Ukraine. Conversely, I'm doing similar work in the UAE as well, United Arab Emirates, working to try to find things that are of interest to the leadership of the country and that could be beneficial to Arizona. So let's say, Forbes, you have a widget and you make it in the Valley and it's great and it's working and you like that widget and they want that widget there. We can do direct sales of that thing, or we can open up and work to open up manufacturing to create that widget there as well. So to two-track, and my firm has done a fantastic job of supporting that effort and in working with companies that have something that they want to potentially do in the Middle East. So once again, very long answer. Sorry, I'm talking your ear off, both of you, but
No.
This is your middle name Collaboration? Like, I mean, this couldn't have been better. Oh,
But what I love to see the most is your passion. When you're talking, I think Forbes and I, with our background in ghostwriting, we know where people are passionate about, and the things that really drive them.
Mm.
What drives you? I mean, you say that you're really passionate about this connecting to something that's bigger, right? Connecting the dots between two different sources. Why is that? And where does that drive come from?
it's a great question. I think that over the course of my career in politics, I've really worked to try to find underrepresented areas. So whether that is Arizona's representation in DC, whether that is small rural community representation in DC or in Phoenix, or whether that is, a border community in Ukraine that is not getting the appropriate attention in Kyiv or at the EU or in DC, helping to raise the profile of those entities, find opportunities for success, and then push those things along. So I'm also a Cleveland Browns fan. I was born in Ohio. So I'm an underdog through and through. I will fight for an underdog
Love it.
like nobody's business. So not that any of the communities that I just mentioned are underdogs, but that's really, I'm always looking to New York, for example, or Los Angeles, or larger communities like that don't really need someone like me, my efforts to advocate on their behalf. They've got thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that do that on a regular basis.
See what you're saying.
Yeah. So
well, I think the word there, advocate. So advocacy in politics. I gotta know. Like, as a little boy, was that the dream? You're like, I'm gonna go advocate. I'm gonna get into policy and politics. Was that always the dream, Rick?
I did a little bit of student government when I was growing up.
I was gonna ask.
But I really wanted to go into journalism. That was I really wanted to do, I love journalism. I went to school for it at University of Arizona. Love it. And wonderful school down there. I was always jealous of the Walter Cronkite School at ASU, but I was, journalism student there. And it was interesting for us, like how I got into all of that I was interviewing for an internship in my senior year with former Congressman Jim Colby in Tucson, and I was not involved in politics at all in college. If anything, I was on the other side where I was reporting on politics, where I was watching what was taking place. I went to an interview, and there was an entire room full of students, college students, probably 15, maybe 20 that were there, all interviewing for the same role. Great, wonderful. The young lady that was taking phone calls at the front desk, her name was Karen Price. Her chair fell apart while she was on a call. And it was like an office max chair. It was so cheap and flimsy. And I noticed that 19 other students that were sitting there didn't do anything. They just watched her chair and were just paying attention to her, and some were on their phones, and they weren't really. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. So I went out to my Jeep. I had an old busted Jeep at the time. I grabbed some tools. I came back. While she was on the call, I just fixed her chair. I went back out, threw my tools back in the car, and then I sat back down. And that was the reason why I'm in politics, because they saw that, like, hey, wait a minute, like, you really want to fix things. You want to help. And that's what led me to down the path of politics and being involved. I really enjoy helping. I enjoy trying to find a way to be useful and to bring whatever that is, whether that's a tool out of my car, or whether that's a connection overseas, or whether that's negotiations for a multinational firm, or whatever those things are, trying to bring value. That's what's really driven my career. And if it wasn't for Karen Price's, her chair not falling apart, and for me helping, and also she looked really sad when her chair fell apart. I felt really bad for her. That was really what got me going into this. So, yeah.
Well,
Wow.
thank you, Karen Price.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a fun story.
Yeah.
Now I got to ask you, as you got into politics because you want to fix things.
Yeah.
In your lengthy career in politics,
Mhm.
I'm sure you've worked with some people in politics who are maybe not there to fix things. And what's it like working in those different dynamics?
That's a great question.
And how do you stay true?
You've identified a tremendously stressful. That's been a challenge. You have some members of Congress or some elected officials that really like to use problems as a dog whistle, as a rallying cry, as just a dog whistle. That's something that they're going to continue to talk about, but they're not looking for a solution. They're not looking to fix that problem. They're using that as a leverage point to prove a larger point, or they're using that as a leverage point for reelection or for campaign fundraising or those things. And those are some of the hardest people to work with, because my role is to try to fix and try to collaborate and bring collaboration to the table and advocate and move the ball and try to so I've got a to-do list. I want to check things off those lists, right? And I'm going to involve the appropriate people to fix those things. So those entities that want to do that are really, and there's several of them. We have those throughout the state, throughout the country. I see those members of Congress or those elected officials as being less than helpful in the overall grand scheme. What I try to do, Forbes, is to work with members that want to find solutions, that want to move the ball, that want to get things done. And I don't really care about political parties. Doesn't really help. It's the members that are driven. And it doesn't matter if you've been in office for 5 minutes or 50 years. If you want to get the things done, I want to work with you. I want to get the ball downfield. I want to solve those problems, or very least, give it everything I've got to get that done. And that's what's really driven my career and why I've really enjoyed what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can see a natural connection to why you and Senator McCain were drawn to each other as doers and advocates, and just the story you're telling could have been if someone told me that John McCain went out to an old Jeep and brought in tools to fix
Yeah.
a chair while someone was on a call, I wouldn't doubt that for a
Exactly.
second.
Exactly.
So let's turn it more to like the human side of things.
Yeah.
You know,
My favorite part.
yeah, as a doer and as an advocate, where do you think that this like lines up in your role as a father?
Mm.
Ooh, it's a great question. Thank you so much. That's what my daughters would strongly prefer if I'd stopped going into war zones, just to be quite frank. They
Yeah. That's fair.
everyone love that. That's something that they've expressed a few different times, but they're also incredibly proud of what I do and what I'm doing. I don't hear a lot, but when I do hear it, it's very powerful. My daughter Kate and I and my daughter Charlie and my wife Danielle were at a NAU for a college tour yesterday, and my youngest daughter Charlie said to me, "Did you have good grades in high school, Dad?" And I said, "No, I wish I had better, but they weren't horrible." And she said, "Well, maybe grades don't matter so much because you've got a great job and you do great things." Oh, and it was a little bit of a slap. It scared me a little bit, only because I wanted to continue to get good grades and keep fighting hard in school. But it was also a wonderful.
Hey, I'm impressed.
It was, yeah,
That's an intelligent answer.
very much so, very much so. And I will say that I've made an effort to always bring my daughters to work with me whenever I can. Not on travel, but to the office to see what's going on. And about 6 months ago, I brought Charlie, my 12-year-old, in for daddy-daughter day at the office. And that usually entails coffee for me, hot chocolate for her, sushi at lunch, stuff that she thinks that adults do. And we do that and just bring her into meetings. One of my colleagues brought her what was essentially a coloring book of busy work, sort of here's something to keep you occupied if you need it.
Yeah.
And about 2 hours later, same colleague, she printed out the United Arab Emirates' 2031 vision statement and gave him a detailed economic analysis of where the country wants to go in the next 5 years. And at the end of it, he came over to me and goes, "I'm really sorry that I gave her a coloring book. That was phenomenal." So I'm really proud of her. I'm really proud of my kids. I don't want them to follow in my footsteps because it's a lot. It's a burden. It's hard to balance sort of the advocacy, the push, the drive, the multiple issues, the multiple entities that rely on you to get things done. I'm the person that they call when they have problems. I'm the person that tries to show up, to be present. Some of that has taken its toll on my relationships with my kids because I'm gone and I'm in sometimes hard to reach places, different places. So I'm always encouraging them to make their own path. And my oldest daughter is considering healthcare right now, which is tremendous. Charlie, my youngest, is very focused on what I'm doing. So I'm hoping that if she does follow, I'll help her, of course, but I hope she doesn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? Whatever your daughters do, I think they're going to do amazing just because of the father that you are. I mean, we've had a lot of fathers just in the past couple of weeks. Craig sticks out to me. He goes over a mantra with his daughter every single night. Is there anything that you tell your girls to I mean, you see both sides of the field, right?
Sure.
Left, right, good, evil. You're kind of in the middle of it, right? Playing connect the dots, if you will. How do you convey your personal beliefs?
So I'm a big believer in having them research, look into, dive deep. I always want them to consider the sources that are encouraging them to make certain decisions. It comes a lot from my journalism and my wanting to be a journalist growing up. Sort of, where are you getting that information from? Why are you being told that? What is the next layer there? So I want to instill upon them that curiosity, that interest in what is that message? Where does that come from? Why? Why does that, for example, algorithms
Mhm.
right now? It's a crazy thing that I didn't have to deal with growing up. What is the algorithm on your social media pushing you
Mhm.
away, and why?
Mhm.
And and I think that that's the best thing I can do for them, is to sort of show them
Yeah.
that there's a lot that goes into influencing. There's a lot that goes into there's a lot that goes into influencing, and there's strategy behind it. There's numbers behind it. There's
Yeah.
sometimes there's marketing behind it.
Mhm.
And as long as they're aware of those things and aware of what those algorithms are pushing their way and those different entities are trying to convince them to do or to be a part of, et cetera, um, that's one step in the right direction. And the next is that really something that you support? Is that really something that, whatever that messaging is, give you more information than just sort of that snippet? You know,
Mhm.
what person is good, person is bad. Product is better than next product. So very long answer, but I've tried my best throughout my daughter's growing up with my kids. Every night we sit down and either read a book or watch some type of science-based video before they go to sleep. Now my 16 and 12-year-old are too old for that, so now we have to transition that into conversations around the dinner table when I'm home. And those are that's the best thing in my world, and I love that. I wouldn't change that for anything.
I love that so much. And I'm a big believer that you should always put your intuition before any algorithm.
Mm.
Always look with discernment. And that's so hard to teach
Well,
nowadays.
it's something that Aaron, really taught me, and it's kind of like a big thesis of extraordinary, because Aaron's been my mentor for 10 years, Rick. And, he was always like, question everything. Like when I first met Aaron, he was like a recovering former madman, like a present day madman. He had this digital ad agency, and he's like, look around, man. Everything's just trying to sell you something, you know?
So Aaron, yeah.
And then you realize it and you're like, oh yeah. And then you hear like, is football just around to sell food? And it might be,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
um,
it's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah, it's accurate. Well, you're incredibly lucky to have a mentor like Aaron. Tremendous man, and it's accurate. But you know what? It's very hard to just go through a day of looking at your phone and not be influenced in some way, shape, or form, or not be targeted in some way, shape, or form. That's
Mhm.
hard, really hard. But and
Well,
I don't think there's any way around it. I think that as long as you're aware of that, that's a really big step in the right direction. Because if you're not aware
Yeah.
of that, if you're just a consumer, then
Yeah.
you're a bag floating. What's the Katy Perry? The floating in the wind.
yeah, yeah.
Anyways,
Hmm.
I really want my girls to be highly educated when it comes to, not just with higher education, but sort of the social aspects of that. What does that mean? What does that look like? And I have two very sensitive, very strong daughters, and I'm very proud of who they are, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do when they eventually leave my house.
Mm. Well, I think the people that are closest to us help teach us the most. So, my question for you, Rick, is going to be, what's something that your wife or your kids have taught you? You're like, oh, I didn't look at it that way. Like, for example, I just learned that anything my girlfriend says before or after the phrase "if you want" is not a suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, It-
Yeah.
it is-
Yeah.
and so I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm learning a little bit more about the nuance of language. So,
Sure.
Rick, what is something that your family has taught you that you were like, oh, I didn't even consider that source, maybe.
It's a great question. I've learned that I can ruin a weekend with the tone of a statement or a question, not necessarily the
Mhm.
content of the tone or statement. Um, so I living with three wonderful women. I I try to be a little more sensitive now to those things. And I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for this. So it's just that's
Hey, Rick, I sympathize with you. My dad, like my poor dad, 3 girls, so he was always around just women. So it takes a very strong man. I know that.
Sure. But I
Well,
would.
you didn't even hear what I said. You just heard how I said it, right? Like, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the other thing that I'll point out that I have to get out there into the universe, and I don't have a mechanism to do it yet, is
Bring it out.
Thank you. Is we've been struggling in our house with some eating disorder issues, and one thing I've noticed is that the industry and policy has pushed. Federal policy has pushed the requirement for nutrition standards to be on every packaging, on everything, and on menu items, and in sort of restaurants, and it's very challenging to get around those things in society right now. Unless you're growing your own crops and you're milking your cows and so forth.
I'm trying.
It's really hard. So I once again haven't found the mechanism yet, haven't found the appropriate way forward to push this. But I think that there has to be a balance. There has to be a way forward that lessens those white boxes that are on all of the products that we purchase, or all the things that we. So if you go home tonight and open up your fridge and just take a look at the white labels, you're going to see maybe 50 or 100 of them in your refrigerator. And with some of the issues that we've been dealing with, though, it's a real problem. It's one that is a challenge. So just for your consideration, just
because it's like too much information, like it's almost information overload. Like it's like if it's everywhere, it's inescapable.
Unneeded
Kind of thing.
information.
Yeah, and it's on everything, every product. And when your focus is on just that, then like I said, I understand the purpose of them, and I think it probably helps the greater society, but there's a subset that it's a significant challenge for, and it's a really hard thing if you're hyper focused on the nutritional value on different products, and it can really slow down your ability to get what you need from nutrition. So very long answer, but that's one thing
that's a
have to put out there.
Brilliant
Well,
observation.
Thank you for sharing that. I love the advocacy for that just because it means so much to you. And Rick, I'm telling you, you are part of an extraordinary collaboration with so many people in healthcare, longevity, mental health issues. I mean, you name it. We have a really good group of people here. So we'd love to connect you with all of our extraordinary members. That's just what you get when you're part of extraordinary. So thank you again for really bringing noise to that.
And Rick, something that we ask everybody who's on Extraordinary Stories, as we're learning the extraordinary story of Rick, and I think all of our listeners kind of got a peek at how your mind works and seeing like the larger systems that are at play.
And just the human behind you.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. He's a doer. He's an advocate. He's a collaborator.
Right.
And I guess my question, Rick, is what's something our listeners could do today that could help them live their life a little bit more extraordinary like Rick?
Wonderful. Another great question. I think that there are a tremendous amount of opportunities to do more for our own communities that we sort of ignore. We don't really pay attention to. Right now, there's a lot of people are very politically charged, very politically motivated. People are putting a lot of things out there on social media, and whether good, bad, or indifferent. That's fine. Do that. But I would encourage your audience, I would encourage people to find ways to try to make a meaningful difference in their own communities, whether that's volunteering at a church, volunteering food shelter. People volunteer on a political campaign. If you believe strongly about something, get involved. Find a way to get involved. Attend city council meetings. Or if you don't have time to do that, look them up, listen to them. There are ways to engage that can make a meaningful difference, that can help to go beyond sort of the keyboard social media advocacy. And that once you do that, once you start to become more engaged and put some of that energy and effort towards solution-based opportunities, that is tremendous opportunity. That is to me, if 5 people did that from listening to this podcast, I would be completely thrilled. A lot of what I do, a lot of what my colleagues and I do, and my team that we work together do, is try to find opportunities to make things better for people. That's what it all boils down to. Going into Ukraine, meeting with children in bomb shelters that are having to do that, talking to them about large international issues or very local issues, finding solutions within maybe an Arizona-based company to do something internationally. That's a challenge. It's huge. It takes a lot of my time. It takes a lot of effort. You don't need to do that. Just finding something small to become engaged with and become passionate about, putting effort towards volunteerism. That to me is a tremendous way to engage and to be involved.
Yeah, sure. Well, and just to contribute to your community in any sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
you never know where the extra smile will go for somebody.
It's cool to care, kids.
Yeah, it is
It is.
cool to care.
It is.
And Rick, you are the solutions-based guy. You're always looking at solutions, but you also celebrate the people that are a part of the solution. And so, before we signed off here, I know you had a plug of a friend of yours who just became a regent here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've been working with him for a number of years, but I'm very proud of Regent Arizona Board of Regent Jim McCain, who has just been gone through the Senate confirmation process and is a full-fledged Board of Regent for the state of Arizona. Jim is a 20-year veteran. Don't quote me on that, but he's been spent a lot of his time dedicated that towards the military, Marines, and tremendous human being. The state is very lucky to have Jim McCain now working with the Arizona Board of Regents, helping to chart a path for the universities for the next several years. He's a good friend of mine, and he is a good person. So I'm very excited to congratulate him on that nomination, and I'm excited to see some big things from him in the future.
Shout out to Jim McCain.
Yeah.
Another extraordinary person. Extraordinary people recognize extraordinary people. You can read more about Rick and everything he's doing and his solution-based mindset at joinextraordinary.com. That's joinextraordinary.com. I'm Forbes Shannon.
I'm Christine Butler.
Rick Stilgenbauer, thank you so much for being here, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, both of you. Appreciate it.